Welcome to Red Dog Bushcraft. Today we're going to take a quick look at a knife that I just finished. It's the Scorpion HD by PKS, the Pathfinder Knife Shop. First of all, if you're looking for a review on this knife, you picked the wrong video. This is simply me bragging about a knife that I had a little bit of a hand in building. So we're going to take a quick look at it and see how it performs. But this is the very first time that I have used the knife, so time will tell. But I can tell you right now, by the way it fits and the way it feels, we're going to get some good use in on this knife this season, especially coming up this fall. And give me a little bit of time and we'll be able to do a full review. So the story behind this knife, went to the Pathfinder gathering, and while I was there I was talking to Jim Canterbury, which is Dave Canterbury's father, and he has a large hand in the Pathfinder Knife Shop. The Pathfinder School has an outfitter store called Self-Reliance Outfitters, and they have started making their own knives, and the name of that knife company is the Pathfinder Knife Shop. They came up with a design called the Scorpion, and I'll read you a couple of the specs on that. It sells for $169.95. It weighs 0.6 pounds. It's made out of 3/16 1095 high carbon steel. And I talked to them about their heat treat process, because the heat treat in the blades, as I was looking at them, looked really nice, real fine work. And I talked to him a little bit about how they do that. They use the latest technology, and I think I'm going to be very pleased with the heat treat in that 1095. It has a 90-degree spine. Of course, I sharpened that up when I made the knife and got it the way I wanted it. It lists as 10 inches overall with a blade length of 5 inches. It's in a Scandinavian grind, and it looks like it's about an 11 to 12 degree angle. And the reason I say that is because that's really the degree of angle that I really like in a Scandi, and I like the way this one is, so I'm thinking it's right in that area. Lifetime warranty on the blade, and it's made in the USA. And the knife comes with several different sheath options. Having a hard time speaking again today. From leather to Kydex to a combination, but they have those listed on their website, and the prices of the total package will vary depending on what sheath you get. Now theirs comes with walnut, or let's see, I believe it was micarta scales. Don't quote me on that. Look on their website. Go to Self-Reliance Outfitters and you'll be able to see. But I had some curly maple at home, and they had these blades that were sitting there that were all heat treated and ready to go to the shop, and I inquired about buying one of those, and they sold me one, and I brought it home and I did the build, and I have a video on that build process. Only a few hours in it with some pretty standard shop tools. I used a belt sander. I did use a planer to cut down the thickness of my scales. I bought it with the pins and the piece of tubing for the lanyard ring, so I didn't really have to do any metal work per se. Most everything was done on the sander with some hand files. I did blue it, so I bought a bottle of the bluing and some Gorilla Glue and some clamps and clamped it all together. Finished it off with a little bit of walnut stain to bring out that tiger stripe, and finished it off with boiled linseed oil. So this is the knife. I'm pretty proud of it. Let's focus the camera in down here on the bottom and do just a little bit of work and see how she performs. Alright, so I got a piece of sycamore here, and let's just see how we start cutting. Get through some of that bark. See how it is on the back side of that thumb. A couple of those little thumb push cuts. That'll tell you if that spine is so sharp she's going to dig into you, or if it's workable or not. It feels good. Speaking of the spine, scrapes down stuff pretty good. Wow, actually pretty good. Go for some thin cuts. Of course, I got a knot right there. I like to try to see how thin I can get stuff with those Scandinavian grinds, because they really have a tendency to dig in and really want to take off a lot, and it's pretty easy to let them dig in and do that. Man, look at that. Just you can power through it, she'll cut it. She made pretty quick work of that. But like I said, the real test with those Scandies is seeing just how fine you can get it. That'll tell you if she'll feather, if she'll plane, if she'll be good for little woodworking and carving projects. Really tells you how sharp that edge is too. And if you can take off real paper thin pieces, you start getting it down like that, you've got some decent edge on it. Well, let's try it on my favorite fire material here. Get a little bit of fat wood. I guess first we ought to try the old spine. Knife's got to be able to process down fat wood. Fat wood is the preferred tinder in my area. We've got plenty of it around here, and if a knife won't make up that real fine tinder like that, you're at a great disadvantage in my area. And of course, the 90-degree spine comes in handy for a lot of other stuff too, but that is really important with mine. And of course, being able to strike the fire steel. So let's put that down there and give her a little strike. Yeah, she definitely threw some good sparks off of that. Now I imagine some of that bluing is going to start to go away with a whole lot of that work, but the idea was to put something on the knife blade to protect it a little bit. So let's see just how fine we can get with some of this fat wood. I'd say that's pretty fine. Now, as far as batoning and all of that, I'm not going to do that yet. We're going to wait just a little bit. And it's a Scandinavian grind. It's 1095 high carbon steel, and it's thick enough that I know I'm going to be able to drive it through a piece of wood. So that's not really a concern of mine. Edge retention is, but for the very first few weeks of this thing of use, I want to see how the edge retention is, just doing my typical survival and bushcraft stuff. I've got a class coming up next weekend, and I'll have to be doing some batoning in that class, but I've got a lot of other work that I have to do first, so we're going to save the hard, aggressive work until after the class. Alright guys, well, I'm just going to sit out here and play with a couple of different types of cuts. You know, the chicken, drawing across the leg, some of the other different ways of using the knife. But I'm already telling that the way the scales fit my hand are just really mating up well. I'm not developing any hot spots at all. And that's the advantage of making your own knife, or at least having a semi-custom, finding a good quality knife maker who can heat treat and get that steel just right, and then turn around and you make it your own by putting the scales on it where it fits your hand. Might not be right for somebody else's, but it fits you. I think that's what I've got in this knife. We'll be using it quite a bit coming up here in the next few weeks, and I'll give you an update as we go along. Thanks for joining me. It was good doing it with you. I'll see you on the next video. Until next time, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. God bless.